kick it off with a question that will go, through the panel. And this one's a simple question, but we've got quite a few people, so we're going to keep our answers fairly short, sharp, and shiny as possible. The question is, can you describe an initiative that you've led on the SDGs that you're proud of? Who do you want to start?
I can start that one.
Please.
So, last year, I was the CEO of a young enterprise scheme business called Wakakatiaki, and we were focused on creating healthy lunches for the learners of grade school. And that focused on the 2 SDGs, SDG number 2, which is zero hunger, and SDG number 12, which is sustainable consumption and production. And that's because every aspect of our business was focused on being as sustainable as possible. For example, we made something called a boomerang cup library, so all of the cups and plates and bowls and cutlery and things like that, we would lend out to people and they would return them back to us, which is a great sustainable way of reducing waste. And there was practices like that throughout our whole thing that was really focused on sustainability and the environment. That was my thing.
Take some notes, folks. If these are ideas you might want to take back to your school, brilliant. Thanks, people.
Right. For our YES business, we've centered our attention on creating a website that aligns with SDG 12 and 13. So we're still in the developmental stage right now, but the idea is that our website will have a search bar where consumers can search up any clothing brand such as Nike, Levi's, H&M, and immediately will be provided with a rating on their sustainability out of 5 stars. So overall they'll be rated on their CO2 emissions, their waste, their ethics, and their manufacturing. Then we will provide a list of sustainable alternatives that are local to New Zealand. So basically the idea is for us to show what brands are failing to operate sustainably and encourage them to shop local and distance themselves from large corporations. So this aligns with the Climate Action SDG because the more we fight fast fashion and spread awareness about greenwashing, the more we slow our carbon emissions. It also aligns with SDG 12 because it promotes consuming responsibly. So, yeah.
So one of my 4 favorite SDGs is SDG 15, Life on Land. It's an issue that affects Taranaki the most, I assume. Beautiful area we have. So nearly 60 reported native birds were killed in the last 3 or 4 years. They were shot dead. And those birds were actually critically threatened already. And so only 3 people received fines for it, and people moved on like nothing happened. And there's no system put in place for that. No system put in place to identify birds and tell people, give them training of what birds are there around us or on our land. So what I did was created an app which works in AI and machine learning, which you may or may not have heard of. So what it does is you upload a photo or you take a photo of the bird and it tells you what bird it is. So I focused on Taranaki species, and it was a prototype. I used 25 species. And it was a fairly accurate app. So how I did was I walked around, I found a bird, I took a photo of it, and I tested it, and it would give me the right species of birds. So it's really good for bird watchers, hunters, for people that cull birds. It reduces this native bird killing accidental or, and so one of the events that I was trying to nail down was that there was accidental killings of the takihe, which are already critically threatened birds in New Zealand, and some people accidentally killed 4 takihe, which reduced their population by 5%. So my app was just trying to aiming at reducing biodiversity loss in this beautiful land that we have. And yeah.
I spoke at the climate change march. It meant a lot to me because it meant that I could represent my culture and bring awareness that climate change is not only happening to us, but it is happening to the islands in like Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, and many more that don't get talked about a lot.
So a main focus at our school was, I think it's number 12, about consumption and production. And we've put a lot of effort into removing plastic from the school canteen because that was a big problem. And we also have a store at our school called the Designery that has students' products that they make and got lots of beekeeping products. The students have their own projects and they put them into the store, and it's all about promoting this mindset of sustainability and just learning about it.
This year I'm currently doing my Greenstone, which is my capstone for year 13. And this year I'm focusing on Life Below Water SDG. And pretty much what I'm wanting to do is I want to make people aware of what plastic pollution is doing to our ocean's ecosystems. And I'm wanting to go out and interview big companies like, say, Coke or Anchor, who does milk, and ask them, do they even know what SDGs are? What are they doing to help us fight this battle of plastic? Are they willing to change the way that they're doing things, or are they just going to keep doing what they're doing? Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm doing this year.
Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Lola toko ingoa. My name is Lola, I'm 15 years old and I currently live in Wanganui. Who was that? Yes, Wanganui represent. I work with Save the Children as a Generation Hope Youth Ambassador, which is the youth program that they run. And one of the projects that we've recently worked on, which directly related to the SDG 13, which is climate action, is our messages in a bottle handover. And this was where we brought together all these messages from young people about climate action and put them in plastic bottles, like a representation of the awful plastic pollution that is happening at the moment, and took them to the steps of Parliament and spoke to our political leaders, people like Matt Ducey, who is a Minister for Youth at the moment, Minister James Shaw, who at the time was the Climate Change Minister, Minister Marama Davidson, and a whole lot of other really, really cool MPs that came to speak to us. And we got to say our piece. We got to share our voices with them and explain actually what it was like for young people living in a climate crisis. And these were voices from across the motu. They were from anywhere from Invercargill all the way up to Whangarei. And it was really amazing to hear our voices be considered at such a huge level. So yeah.
So folks, we've heard people who have created their own initiatives or have joined in with initiatives that exist, like from Save the Children or others. But panel, we didn't really get your name or your school. So for us, what we want to do is we'll call these case studies. So you go back to your school and say, I heard this person from Wanganui, from Whangarei, wherever you're from, at their school, in their canteen, they've got rid of plastic. Can we do that? Like, there's an example that I heard about when I was at this amazing COP21 Symposium, okay? So, panel, we'll work our way back this way. Just your name, your school, and your initiative, so that if you want to write it down, you're like, yep, I'm taking that idea to my school, I'm going to hit up the principal tomorrow on this one. So you did a wonderful job of introducing yourself.
My name is Jess Forrest. I'm from Green School and I'm currently working on taking plastic out of oceans.
Yep.
My name is Rin. I'm from Spotswood College and I'm trying to remove plastic from the school canteen.
Anyways.
New Plymouth Girls High, and my previous aim was to reduce biodiversity loss, but at the moment I am working on reducing food waste and just waste disposal around Taranaki at the moment.
Hi guys, soon. I'm from Green School. And our website is called Conscious Closet. And once it's up and running, you can search consciouscloset.net on Google.
My name is Poppy Flashman. I'm from Green School as well. And my initiative is all about creating healthy lunches for the learners of Green School using produce grown on campus.
Super. So it's definitely worth us capturing these ideas, taking them with us. This is brilliant. So, folks on the panel, my next question, and then we'll see if we've got a little bit of time to open up for people in the audience. So if you've got your own question, maybe start hatching some questions there. My next one is, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you go out overcoming them?
I can start again.
Yeah.
I think a really big challenge that I think a lot of young change makers face is the issue of self-doubt or not believing in yourself and pushing towards your goals wholeheartedly. And I think a really great way that you can overcome that is just by setting some realistic goals that you can achieve, whether that be every week or every month. It gives you something that you can feel proud about after you've achieved it, and it keeps that motivation really high. So I think that's a really big one.
So a challenge for me has been narrowing down a topic to base my passion projects on. There's so many issues surrounding sustainability that demand our attention. So it was really hard to focus on just one aspect. It makes it easier though to choose something that you're passionate about. So for me, choosing a project based around marine biology, ocean conservation, and preserving the balance between life on land and life in the water. And obviously eco-friendly fashion. So yeah, just finding something that sparks your interest and going from there.
So a big challenge for the current initiative I'm taking is almost lack of cooperation from others. I feel like I can only go so far as an individual and do require community support to make a big change. A majority of the times people are extremely kind and ready to help. However, it's not always the case. So I've been reaching out to big supermarkets recently and just wanted to ask them about the trends in the food disposal, waste disposal, and what they do with the food within the supermarket. And a lot of the people were just really defensive, and they almost wanted me to leave and, stall for information, things like that. What I'm just trying to do is just work with them, create positive change, but I do understand because they're big businesses overruled by bigger businesses and they have stern policies and they can't always reveal things. So what you just have to do is when you do not get support, is just reaching out through other ethical, reliable sources. I reached out to a food rescue charity, which is called On the House, a really big charity in Taranaki. It's an amazing community, and what they did was I had one of their representatives reach out to me, tell me about all the stuff that I wanted to know, and much more. And disclaimer, that took about a month. So it's just, you have to be flexible and humble, and just expect changes in direction. And network and collaboration just takes a lot of resilience. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
For me, I think that the biggest challenges that we face is self-doubt, as we heard. Because we do tend to doubt ourselves a lot, and yeah, I feel like we just be confident in ourselves and in our skin, and it will go to plan.
So on a very real high school context, a big challenge for us is the people who aren't in the room here. We're all so passionate about the environment, but there are people that are at school today going about their lives, and in terms of the bins and the school canteen, those are really the people we need to be reaching. So I'm just trying to work towards informing them, inspiring them to be as passionate as we are about those problems.
One thing that I learned when creating my idea of creating awareness around plastic pollution in our oceans was that I came to that I don't need to have an idea that is super big, that it's going to change the world. All I need is a tiny little idea that I could grow, and it would still make a significant impact on what is going on. So yeah, just keep pushing.
necessarily relate to Generation Hope, but still is within my mahi. So I am the CEO of a youth media company, which I started when I was 13 years old. And so for many of you, that is around about your age, or maybe a little bit older or a little bit younger. But when I was 13, I didn't know how to build a community. And I didn't know how to build better leaders for that community to thrive. So I was 13 years old and sitting in my parents' bedroom on their bed, doing these Zoom calls and leading these other 13-year-olds and people who are older than me, 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds, and I didn't know how to make it work. So this is one of the biggest challenges I faced, and I'm sure all of you will come across this in different areas of work, whether you're a manager or you work for a non-for-profit. Building a community is so hard, and I struggled for the longest time trying to make it work and trying to get more people on board and trying to get mentors. But the biggest thing I learned was that you have to start from somewhere. And I started as a 13-year-old. Again, I'm sitting in my parents' bedroom on these Zoom calls, and I just had to start from somewhere. And now here I am, doing panels and leading a thriving company, which has over 50 journalists now, which is really cool. And so don't ever doubt yourself. And a lot of my fellow panelists have said the same. You just have to have the self-confidence, and it is hard. It always will be hard. But there are people that believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. And just remember that. Remember that there are people for you to fall back on. And remember that it's okay to fail. And you will fail many, many times before you succeed. But you just have to try again.
Super. Folks, there's a lot of gold nuggets that people are throwing at you here of change making. So, in 25 years of being a change maker, I'm learning everything all over again. It's fabulous, and many, many new ideas. So keep there's going to be something that sticks in these conversations with you. So keep your brain sticky. My last question for the panel, and we'll see how we're going for time if we get one from the audience, is maybe either two choices. One is that starting point. How or where did it start for you? And then just kind of tumbleweed along and build, snowball along, build into something bigger. Or just another piece of gold nugget advice you've got around change making. So either of those two.
First? Yeah, sure. Okay, so there's a pretty shocking statistic that I'm about to share with you, and that is, out of 3 of the main media outlets in Aotearoa, 83% of headlines about young people, that is you and me, and about 90% of the people sitting in this room, 80% of those headlines about young people are negative. Okay, 80%. And that is a huge number. Think about how many people read the news every day. Think about if you get your newspaper delivered to your house every morning. Think about your parents picking up their phones when they wake up and scrolling on RNZ, or reading the news late at night, or watching the TV. 80% of headlines about you are negative. That is so heartbreaking, because I know that in every single one of you, there is more than that. There is more than what we often see in the news, which is youth crime, youth ram raids, dog whistling, and all this horrible stuff about how young people are lazy. And I see people shaking I see people nodding their heads and agreeing with me. The way that you are represented in the media does not define who we are. So when politicians pick up the news and they read the news, this is how they form opinions of us. This is how they then go and engage with young people, how they make decisions about things that affect young people. So when they're making decisions, for example, to cut school lunches, when they're making decisions to lower the voting age, that's a big decision that has been made at the moment, they are reading the news and they're engaging with young people through this. This is their primary source of information. And so for 80% of those headlines to be negative is awful, because that means that they just think that young people are lazy and ram raising, youth crime, and all of these awful things that we see in the media. So that's where my my passion started. My big thing is media representation, and that then moves into these SDG goals and also climate action, because without representation we can't actually take action that is meaningful, and we can't take action that people listen to. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
So I came up with my idea because I've always been passionate for the ocean. I love all its creatures, I love everything about it. However, so many times I have gone to the beach and seen plastic or some sort of waste that is being lying around that someone has dropped, or it's blown out of rubbish bins and it's all ended up in our oceans, which is now harming all of our animals that live there, including us. It all will come back to us. As of fishing industries now, if you go fishing off of rocks or in lakes or like on the shore somewhere, like fly fishing, you now find plastic in your fish. You are finding plastic in everything that you catch due to the fact that they are eating it because they think it's something edible. And so that's kind of where my idea stemmed from, was the fact that if we don't change now, then what are we going to do in the future? We're not going to be able to have those fish to eat anymore, and the majority of the world lives off fish. Like, most people have had fish in their life. So yeah, like, what are we going to do about it, and how are we going to change?
Yeah, so I'd say that people like you guys are my inspiration. You know, just my advice would be know your voice and use it, like down here and up here. So down here, like, know the facts, call people out. If your friend's not recycling, inform them. Tell them about the effects of their actions and inspire them. And up here, just country's policies. So everyone in the room, the fact that you're here, you're making an effort up here. So you come to hear from other people, and now we can all work together to make a difference on that level. So.
My advice would be let your voice be heard. Even if you are young, your voice still has an opinion. So it doesn't matter how old you are, just let your voice be known, because your voice counts a lot. Just adding on to the amazing advice given by everyone so far, my advice would be impatient. You find something, like, work on it. Don't wait for the issue to come to you. Don't wait for the issue to be so obvious. With the SDGs having to be completed by 2030, pretty sure, it is a ridiculously small frame of time, less than 6 years, considering how much we actually have to do. Went to the school strike last week, and the fire there apologized to us, saying how she has failed us. And it was so touching, because the way people in general have been irresponsible in the past, it's almost catching up on us. And as this extremely creative generation of Rangatahi, I believe, we're so capable of addressing these issues. So please be impatient. Thank you.
Well, we've all felt a bit of climate anxiety in some way, shape, or form. We're all here for the same reason, to generate hope and create change makers, but going about that can sometimes feel daunting. So my advice would be, instead of trying to come up with the solution to tackle the climate crisis, just make smaller individual changes that you can build upon, and do things like this. Get people together, talk about the climate, come up with solutions, and yeah, like what Darcy said about teaspoons of change.
To end it all off, I've just got a couple of little nuggets of advice. The first one is all about creating a network, because we all know that true action cannot be made unless there's people beside you that are supporting you at all times. And you can find so many people, even in your small community or wider, that can support you in your initiatives. Everyone's going to want to hear what you're going to talk about. We're young, we're the voices of the future, and people are going to listen to us. So get out there and talk to everyone that you can, and find some help with that. And a last little piece of advice from me is, when taking action with the environmental issues that we're talking about today, it's really important to acknowledge that we are connected to the earth. like what we do affects the earth, and what the earth responds to that affects us in return. So it's really important to remember that connection, that we are one. And that's me.